Good morning. Welcome to your Monday edition of Inside Nigeria, reaching you on Leadership Television. It's a new day, a new week, and I hope you're set for the week ahead. My name is Winifred Weber, your host on the program. And of course, we have an array of newspapers on our menu for review this Monday, November 2023 edition of your program. We have Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. We have The Guardian, Vanguard, The Punch, and The Nation, all for review on your breakfast show this Monday. And of course, as usual on the program, we like to flag up with Nigeria's most influential leadership. Leadership's leading story says 25 years after, federal government may restore controversial Malabu oil well. 25 years after, federal government may restore controversial Malabu oil well. And the writers say Dutch Shell, Italian ENI favor to get mining license after years of dispute. Former AGF Adoke sees political exoneration. Petroleum Minister keeps mum. This is the leading story on leadership today, Monday, 20 November 2023. And of course, another headline story on the cover says protest rocks plateau as appeal court sacks Governor Mufwang. Protest rocks plateau as appeal court sacks Governor Mufwang. Cost of renewable energy may hamper Nigeria's target. That is the business news on the cover of leadership. Cost of renewable energy may hamper Nigeria's target. And above the masthead, we have Supreme Court. Judicial Council awaits list of nominees. Israel-Hamas war rages as outcry grows over Gaza crisis. We go down just beside the leading story. We have 547,774 apply for police constable slots. 547,774 apply for police constable slots. The story continues on page 6 of leadership. Nigeria 26 others adopt HPV vaccine against cervical cancer. Police chief orders average officer overage officers to retire. Police chief orders overage officials to retire. Stories on page 6 of leadership. And of course, the last leading story on the cover of leadership today, Monday, November 2023, says APC wants to make Nigeria one party state. APC wants to make Nigeria one party state. That's coming from NNPP. And with that, we move to the page 3 of the paper where we have our stand. Our stand today is on one airport incident too many. One airport incident too many. You'll find out what the airport incidents are as you log on and read today's editorial. And of course, back page says Monday column with Dakuku Peter side, George Weah's ways. That is the outgoing Liberian president, George Weah. George Weah's ways. Find out what George Weah's ways are as you log on to today's stories on our website www.leadership.nj. From leadership, the Guardian is next on our menu. Of course, Guardian's leading story, exclusive as usual, is on Lagos. Orders court and fiscal recklessness amid huge legacy debts. Lagos orders court and fiscal recklessness amid huge legacy debts. And beneath that story, we have us, as usual, graphic illustration of that headline story. Stays contentious budget lines. We have Lagos Rail Mass Transit 218 billion naira. Bulletproof SUV for chief of staff 440.75 million naira. Benue government 2 billion naira vehicles for self officials. Resident registration agency 7.99 billion naira. Fragrance for governor's office 7.475 million naira. Ad hoc chartered plane 400 million naira. Oyo allocates 43.5 million naira to purchase 55 fire extinguishers. 200 million naira legal fees for election. This is the budget illustration for the headline story. Lagos orders court and fiscal recklessness amid huge legacy debts. From that leading story, we move on to the ones beneath that, and that is caustic retirement speeches reflective of discontent in judiciary. Is the news analysis on page 4 of The Guardian today. Concerns over Tinubu's flurry of appointments reversers. That is on politics page 15. Appeal Court sacks Plateau governor, asks INEC to withdraw certificate of return. Magu breaks silence after 4 years as raise corruption war. Amend the CBN Act to isolate it from politics. This is the editorial on page 12 of The Guardian today. Top military officers mourn as SCOS Chris Ali passes at 79. And of course, the last strip, the headline story on The Guardian is on the strip. Rivers Bayelsa oil communities lament neglect, failure to implement PIA. These are the headline stories on the cover of Guardian today, November 20, 2023. For more on these headline stories, inside stories, the editorial news analysis, and of course the back page, don't forget to log on to the website of The Guardian, www.guardian.ng. From The Guardian, Vanguard is next. Vanguard says Supreme Court rumble in judiciary over nomination of justices. Supreme Court rumble in judiciary over nomination of justices. The FJSC's list excellent. Professor Akinseye George, SAN. No cause for alarm, NJC CJN. And underneath that, we have inflation. Declining demand triggers 20% fall in food beverage production. 4 years after, Magu opens up, says corruption, Nigeria's greatest problem. Terror war, Niger remains member of multinational joint task force. And for sports, we have sack Pesero now. Nigerians kick after another poor outing by Eagles. Sports, sack Pesero now. Nigerians kick after another poor outing by Eagles. With that, we move to the ones above the masthead of Vanguard. Why I want to succeed Governor Obaseki Shaibu, the Deputy Governor of Edo State. And of course, State of the Nation says what Tinubu will force us to do by Bode George. Plateau, Appeal Court SARS Governor Mufwang declares Goshwe winner. Rex appointment, Sirap budget orders you Tinubu. Find out more as you log on to the website of Vanguard today, Monday, November 20, 2023. www.vanguardngr.com. From Vanguard, The Punch is next on our menu. The Punch says Plateau governors remover, APC PDP clash as Appeal Court sacks third opposition governor. Court orders INEC to retrieve PDP certificate of return. Lalong Hayes judgment. Ruling party using judiciary to intimidate, silence opposition. PDP, Labour Party, NNPP. And underneath that leading story, we have picture caption of Israeli and Hamas ongoing clash in Gaza. Israel Hamas, US condemns school attack. Deaths hit 14,000. NAF, Nigerian Air Force bombs Boko Haram commanders hideouts in Kaduna. Drug baron are rearrested 7 years after fleeing Abuja prison. Story continues on pages 4 and 5 of The Punch. We move to the ones above the masthead. Service extension. Federal government owes 600 teachers 23 months arrears. Inflation jumps 24 times in 25 months, according to reports. I don't miss presidency much, says Buhari. For more on these inside stories, editorial log on to the website of The Punch, www.punchng.com. From The Punch, we move over to The Nation. The Nation's leading story today says recruitment. Police toned down 190,741 applicants. Recruitment. Police toned down 190,741 applicants. Kaduna, Kano, Benue top applicants list. Lagos Southeast states shown job offer. State governments open security vote accounts with CBN. Former Army Chief Chris Ali dies at 79. Danjuma donates $1.36 million to UI. Appeal Court sacks another governor is a temporary setback, says Mutwang. APC candidate Yiwata hopeful. Labour candidate wins assembly seat. OAUTH admin director suspended over job racketeering. Stories on page 2 is a development story actually, and of course the federal government had to weigh in. You have to find out more on page 2 of the paper, even as you log on to the website too. Above the masthead, we have Shaibu Des Obaseki joins race for governor. Edo needs practical leader. FCTA targets 30 billion naira from grand rent. Wike extends deadline. Abuja drug kingpin rearrested 7 years after. President Diri orders greet Jonathan at 66. The story continues on page 2 of The Nation. Of course, these are headline stories on The Nation today, Monday, November 20, 2023. And just before we go, we have our sister publication, National Economy. National Economy's leading story says is on airline. National Economy says $704 million trapped funds. More foreign airlines may boycott Nigeria. $704 million trapped funds. More foreign airlines may boycott Nigeria. More than promises, nation needs guidelines on fund repatriation, says experts. I'll take that again. $704 million trapped funds. More foreign airlines may boycott Nigeria. More than promises, nation needs guidelines on fund repatriation, according to experts. Above that beneath that leading story, we have deposit insurance strengthening financial stability. Find out more as you log on to the website of National Economy, www.nationaleconomy.com. But just before we go, we have other stories on the masthead of National Economy. Why 25 million GSM subscribers engaged in porting activities. Why, I'll take that again, it's actually 2.5, not 25 million. Why 2.5 million GSM subscribers engaged in porting activities. You'll find out more as you log on to the website of National Economy. And never the same, the story continues on page 5 of this week's National Economy. Another story is AI to reduce banks' digital onboarding time by 30%. Report. AI to reduce banks' digital onboarding time by 30%, according to report. These are the headline news on this week's National Economy. For more, log on to the website of National Economy, www.nationaleconomy.com. Well, viewers, this is where we come to the end of the first half of the program, Inside Nigeria, your breakfast show on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Webo. Don't go away. Our Monday guest is actually in the house to shed more light on some headline stories. See you. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, the program is Inside Nigeria, your breakfast show on Leadership Television. My name is Winifred Ugbebo once again, and of course, as you can see, I have my mother guest in the studio. He's a political economist, he's also public affairs analyst, Dr. Aliyu Elias. Thank you so much. You're looking good.
Thank you for having me. Very fine. Thank
How's
you.
your weekend?
Very fine.
I hope you had a beautiful weekend.
It was fine. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I want us to, before discussing politics, I just want us to talk business. And of course, that's the airport crash. Leadership's editorial today is on one airport incident too many. And
Right.
you just told me that you came from Lagos. You just came. How will you assess the value of mishaps that has been happening, the rate of mishaps that has been happening in Nigeria's airport?
I think safety protocol need to be adhered to, no matter who is involved. I think that's one very important thing that we need to look at. And also, airport maintenance is very key because look at one of the challenges the runway have alleged by the side of the runway, and most of the pilots are saying that they need to move at least to the center so as to balance. Then you also need a training and retraining for our pilot. But these are
I
other
think they
things.
do go for
So,
training.
but you know that say airline, I mean, what do you mean? Aviation is a sector that you must not take anything for granted. So, and that's why I said safety protocol must be adhered to. If we adhere to safety protocol, it would have saved the issue of maintenance of the airport. It would have saved the issue of training and retraining, and even maintenance of aircraft. These are the things that we need to look at. What happened to our values, and even look at our minister, one of our ministers, the minister of power. Also, that the plane crash landed.
Years I was so
it's part of
fortunate.
it's there are just too many these days. So we need to thank God we don't have casualty. So, but we should have to do that protocol. If we are doing that due protocol, we didn't have such issues. I think going forward, the aviation industry needs to sit tight. Perhaps this is a challenge to the new minister. You need to do something.
Now, talking about aircraft maintenance, there was a report last week that most, it's not just foreign airlines only, but domestic airlines are being owed huge sums of money, about 540 or thereabout $1 million. And these airlines have already made passionate plea for their funds to be released, because most of them, like Air Peace, United Airlines, and MassAir, they all engaged in hard exercise, and they need their money. And of course, they are saying that what the reason they need this money is that most of them will go for aircraft maintenance.
Well, that's another
And
problem.
how can they do that
Look
when
at
they are
another negative impact of owing them is also affecting the industry itself. Perhaps you could see what's happening to our dollar, because they are owing them a huge sum of money, and even other aircraft are also thinking of withdrawing and cut their services, and these are the problems. So I don't know why up to now, having declared that they are going to pay the money, up to now we have not paid them, and it's about 96%.
But of course,
So
Nigeria
that's a
cannot
serious
afford
issue.
to pay, because at the end of the day, you are depleting our foreign reserves.
The fact remains that if you don't pay, the value of the dollar will continue to have issues in Nigeria.
So
Because we are having supply side problem. And when you're having supply side of dollar, it simply means everybody's chasing dollar. But if you have it available, it will reduce the level at which you are pushing. And people will reducing keeping it at home, keeping it as a way of keeping their value, because nobody wants to deal with naira because we didn't know. So everybody wants to hold that dollar because of the value. So we have to be proactive and make sure you must not even pay everything at once. There's a way you stagger the payment, but we'll see that you have kick-started. That would have given a sense of maybe sense of exactly you have determined to pay. So this will in the long run reduce the level of the purchase. I mean the demands for the land. The supply side would have come up to really balance.
But actually, are we ever going to see an end to this forest?
It depends on the policy. Once we have a good policy at hand, it's going to help us, because you must not always look at now. You must start looking beyond now. Look at the would I say hangover of a failure and Buhari administration. It has trickled down to Tinubu government. So anything Tinubu is also committing is also going to. So that's the problem, that we must always have a policy and follow the framework. Perhaps you should know that CBN has flouted a lot of rules over time. So this has affected the economy, and that's the result we are seeing now.
So obviously, no end in sight for now. And talking about no end in sight, remember inflation. There's another report that is linked to inflation jumps 24 times in 25 months. And of course, Vanguard says it declining demand triggers 20% fall in food.
The last time we saw such thing was I think August 2005. Now we are now at 27.33%, which is quite alarming, and it's a serious problem. And if you look at the driver, it's still cost push inflation. And when you look at the cost push inflation, you also look at that food inflation, because you are looking at headline inflation, which is 27.33%. The actual food inflation is about 34%, and the highest is here in Kogi State. So I think if you recall that President Tinubu, one of the first things he did was that to declare state of emergency for food security. But going down now the line, we have not seen any impact on it. And now, like I always said, until we take that sector serious, because we have people are looking for food, and apart from that, we also have energy costs. So feeder road that people will use is a problem. We have insecurity problem, and ultimately we have supply chain problem. So if I thought there is food in some corn nuts, to even bring it to Lagos, it costs a whole lot. So even you as a transporter or as a business person, you look at how much am I going to take it, how much am I going to pay for transportation, and how much am I going to sell it. So by the time you consider the value, the profit margin, you discover that transport has eroded every of your profit. So you may resolve, and the food will be rotting at that place. So these are the problem that we must look at, that supply chain, and it must come in to really solve this food security problem. I think it's an emergency that should go beyond rhetorics. There should be an action.
Thank you so much. Now back to where we started from, and that was this airport issue. Yesterday I was opportune to watch an interview with the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Atta Victor Atta. And during his interview, he did say that he's just marking about 85 years or 87 years. Well, but during the course of the interview, he did say that when he wanted to build an airport in Akwa Ibom, and that he encountered resistance from then President Olusegun Obasanjo, who told him not to go ahead. So I was now like, it brought a whole lot of emotions. I was like, so federal determines what projects you embark on.
Right. Yes. Airports is like it's more of exclusive, because it's not easy. Because there's a way you can see that even federal government is taking over some airports too.
Yes.
So these are
even when he also built a power plant,
right,
and they said no. And unfortunately, or fortunately, when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu doing he signed the electricity act and they now asked him, so how is it going to be? Say it is going to take a whole lot before you start unplugging, because they now did it to federal that they are not, even though they are producing, they cannot distribute.
Even it's not only even Lagos State, as big as Lagos State, they have the money, they have everything, but the federal government say no until it is passed by National Assembly, and that they even said a community like Iduyad can have their own power plant and whatever. I think that's why I say every decision you make have implication.
Would you say that federalism has been practiced in the country today is an albatross actually that is not aiding development in states?
It is not practiced as it's supposed to be. There is no autonomy. That's the problem. When you are saying you are practicing federalism, it has to do with federal, state, and local government. For local government, they are even not functioning because we don't allow them. For states, there are some exclusive lists, and there's some concurrent lists. So the exclusive is now, look at even common railway transportation. You cannot build it on your own. As a state, you must also wait for federal government to give them approval and whatever. And these are the problem we are having. You can even see issue of road too. There's some road they say this is federal, and it's passed through your door mouth, and you cannot do anything. So we must start looking at long run results, not looking at immediate. And our federalism should be looked into. Perhaps nothing is cast on stone. Go and even check UK. They review everything as time changes. So we must start evolving and looking at our current problem and look for current solution. And I will challenge the National Assembly for that. It's their responsibility. That wants to see a lacuna, wants to see a gap, bring about a law that will solve that problem. So they should do more in National Assembly.
The worst scenario is that every year National Assembly, or every 4 years, they keep budgeting 1 billion naira for
constitutional review.
Constitutional review. At the end of the day, the exercise ends up in futility.
Well, are you talking about only even National Assembly? Even successive government has come out with the confab.
Okay, yes.
One, but
We
also
had
came with
Obasanjo, we had Jonathan.
Jonathan. So, and where's the result? So we must, I think the major thing we need to do, we need a new constitution totally that will fit the current challenges we are facing. And it's not easy except the body language of Mr. President. You know, these are the things that we need to look at. Because a lot of things, imagine in some court cases, they will tell the person who commits very big crime to pay 100 naira and go.
Yes.
How do you see that?
Somebody that steals a fowl
He's in the
jailed
prison
for life.
rotting. So these are the things that we need. So we must look at all those holistically. It's very, very key.
Thank you so much. Now from business, we are moving over to politics, and of course, the dominant political news since yesterday is the removal of the Plateau State governor by appeal court, and that's what the Punch led with today. And of course, most papers have it on their covers. So, Plateau governor's removal, APC PDP clash as appeal court sacks third opposition governor, and of course, in leadership says protest rocks Plateau as appeal court sacks governor. It's an issue that is generated a
Serious
debate. Many people see it as a APC's attempt to have a one-party state in Nigeria. How do you see it? And why many people say that it's democracy that is being imperiled by
we cannot even say that yet. If not for that, we have Nasarawa State too. You know, that the appeal court has sacked the governor too.
It's not tribunal.
No, I think the appeal has also. We are the tribunal.
Yeah.
Anyway, it has been sacked. What we are trying to say is that it's also in that pipeline too. So if not for that, we have said we are heading to one party.
But let's wait and see.
But we cannot still rule it out.
Yes,
we cannot still rule it out. It's not ruled yet for the ruling party because anything can still happen. However, if you look at those cases, I think we have to blame opposition. PDP has ruled us for a long time. For them to fall into some pre-election matters, because if you look at this case now, it's not only the governor. Look at how many House of Rep was removed.
But however, on that Kano State's own, the appeal held that he was not a member of NNPP. But I thought Supreme Court had did justice to that by saying that a membership of a party is party's matter.
Even the issue of Jos and Plateau is also pre-election
exactly.
matter.
And the Supreme Court said,
in fact, you know what even happened to
party
Jos? You know what happened to
Plateau? It's a party affair.
He's a party member that actually went to the court to say that they didn't do primary, they didn't do that. The only thing these people are doing is just to take the judgment and come and present it at the tribunal. You know, so that's the major process. But going forward, I think our judges, we must see them above. You know, all this.
Many people are losing confidence in the judiciary.
But we cannot say that
because we are having cases whereby, as somebody, some stakeholders put it, that judiciary is now the one electing.
But you know, court is not a moral place. It is what you bring forward. It's not a moral. It's what you bring forward that they will. Yes, exactly. So it's what you bring that they will look into. However, I don't think.
But I want to look at it in the impact
on democracy.
democracy.
Well, the thing is that we must go back again and strengthen our INEC. And for me, I think we should unbundle them.
Yes, they have been called for that.
If we unbundle them, they will not be over. Because if you look at that Kanuki, they said the ballot paper was not stamped. So I want to know whose fault. Does it mean that people smuggled some in or INEC failed to stamp it? So these are the things I want them to
why
look clear.
should the victors' own votes be discounted? Why the other ones was not? Because the votes were subtracted from.
These are the things. Well, we leave it for courts. We cannot preempt them to see what they will come about. They should know that anything they do now will stand as another, standard for other case going forward.
But going forward, apart from INEC, what should be done? Because it's a situation whereby many people are losing confidence in our judiciary.
I listened to Femi Falana.
Yes.
He said some judgment. I don't know. I can't recall how he actually made that. But what he's just saying is that the error, judges must not be seen committing some error that he has been noticing. Right. So that means there's a gap. So we should look at that. And you remember, they said they should bring all the cases to Abuja to avoid the influence. So a lot of things are done.
But that has not obviously helped. But we saw during that last time when before President Muhammadu Buhari contested and won the previous one before that one, we even had almost a tie. It was one judge that broke it. the chairman of the
which is a good one.
But we're not having a
one.
situation like that. And
Exactly.
because he said he was considering the impact it would have had in notifying. And we also saw the late President Yaradua coming out to say that yes, election that brought him in was a flawed one.
That's a real one. You can even see
with this Electoral Act 2020, one would have expected that it would have made a whole lot of difference, that Nigeria will begin to have a transparent, credible electoral process. But that has not been the same.
See, I was on was it one of these TV during the Kogi election throughout for like 3 hours, and I was telling them that I prefer a proportional representation of governance because
what do you mean by that?
Thank you. You know, in democracy, winners take all. So if political party win, it takes every. But in proportional representation, if one candidate came first and took 70%, another came second and took 20%. So in representation, that 70 will take 70, and the next political party that take 20% will take 20% of the entire governance. The one that follows will also take. So it won't be a winners take all.
And where is that practice?
Well, it does not really matter. This is democracy, so we must not wait for what happens. But that is the way our democracy can actually grow. You know why? Because in Africa, people want to dominate and take over everything. Look at me. We are scared of one party system already, because by the time another three people join this party, at least if APC eventually won, you know, it becomes a problem. So but we must tame that to bring. So in my own community now, we could be people of PDP, right? The largest society could be APC. We should also be allowed to do what we can do and give us a representative. So these are the things we need to look at. You know, we must not wait for what happens in other climes for us to. Perhaps democracy must be local. You must look at what fits your. Look at what happened in Liberia. You know, George Oponwell with one term,
honestly, it's
and he has
something
to.
that
He has to, you know, the party was a tie. They go again. You know, remember, if it's a country that, let me not use Nigeria, another country. I don't want to use Nigeria. If it's another country now, the incumbent will use his power to affect the umpire, to intimidate the voters, you know, to make sure he was declared at all. But you know, Liberia has been coming from a very bad challenges. You know, remember the issue of their former military head who was doing this Samuel Doe, and a lot of them, you know, before Salif now came in. Salif did 8 years.
Yes, she did.
And you know, Salif Vice was one that contested against Where. You know, Where was able to do 4 years, and he came again and he became the winner. So we must look democracy not as a do or die, but as another fight for another
exactly
day.
I wish Nigeria could borrow a leaf from that, because this is where that many Liberians from snipers that he didn't actually perform, and you saw they went to
even when he even talked, you see that this talk does not instigate any violence. You know, he came out and said, well, the country has spoken, that you only go ahead to really empower more people to come into politics and do everything. But in our case, and another case you should look at, you know, the influence of the Chief Supreme Court judge and the way they are being nominated. That even made a mention. One of their, one of the judge that just retired. In his valedictory statement, he also mentioned that a lot of things are being influenced, that they should stop, or you know, the worst will happen. So these are the things that we need to look at.
You know, because the judiciary as it is presently is being recycled. Most of these retired justices or retiring ones bring their children into it. These are children that grew up with them in their homes, so they know what is going on. And there are children that are still dominating the judiciary, so they know how to tell their children, oh, look at what I want. You know, we heard that confession from
Bukachua. We can even really have that, but the thing is he only even judge? If you look at our democracy, you can see the rich people, the bourgeoisie, the people that rule us, their children are coming to succeed them already, because they will have better education, better exposure, enough money to sponsor themselves. You can see them in House of Reps. See their children are taking over. See Ibori, see Akala, see Erufai. A lot of them are coming. So I don't know how the people that are average, they are coming to take the power with them. It's quite difficult.
It's quite difficult. That is well. Thank you so much. That is the takeaway from today's program. Of course, we've had talks on some of the living stories, developing stories since yesterday, and it's always a pleasure to have among the guests, Dr. Alile Elias.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
What we ask is where we draw the curtain on today's Inside Nigeria, your breakfast show on leadership television. My name is Winifred Webo. Same time, same station. Tomorrow is another day. Do keep a day with us. See you.